Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Snap the Ball podcast. My name is Archie.
And I'm Alex.
So, with this first episode, we're just gonna try and talk about, some simple stuff about us, what got us into football, things like that, why we like Madden, blah blah blah. Just kind of so you guys get to know us and stuff. Maybe we'll talk about some other stuff later, but for now, we're just gonna start off with our first question. Alex.
Yeah, I'd like to start off with some introductions, right? My name's Alex. I'm from Chicago. My favorite team is the Chicago Bears, and I've been in Chicago my entire life, so hence why I'm a Chicago Bears fan.
And I'm Archie. I'm also from Chicago, but I'm actually a New York Giants fan because my freshman year of high school, when I first got into football, I wanted to find a player I could relate to. So I googled Puerto Rican NFL players, and Victor Cruz was the first one. At the time, he was still in the Giants, and I just stuck with them, and it's been like that since 2015, and we're here now. I'm currently in St. Louis for school, but hometown still Chicago. I get a lot of questions as to why I'm not a Bears fan, but it's whatever. I'm okay with answering it here and there and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and seeing that this podcast is all about football, I guess the big question is, what was the first thing that got you into football,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for me, I think that was my parents. My mom's a big Bears fan, having grown up in Chicago, and my dad is a big Packers fan, having grown up in Wisconsin. So, if any of you listeners know, right, the Packers and the Bears don't exactly like each other. And I remember the first time actually really being involved and really loving football was when Aaron Rodgers and the Packers went to go to the Super Bowl and won against the Steelers. And after that, I was just enamored with the sport. It really drew me in, and playing games like Madden really helped to kind of drive that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much my first experience.
Yeah. For me, my first experience, I guess it was freshman year of high school. Before that, I did not care about sports. I didn't care about anything like athletic because I was just a pretty pudgy kid. But at freshman year of high school, I was 6 something, so I was like, oh, let me try and do something. Let me try and make friends. And so I went down to the football field the first day, and I was like, hey, are you the coach? Can I join? And they're like, oh, you're big. Yeah, sure. And although I was not good at all, I played on the B team, and I was the second string D tackle on the B team. So I got literally 0 real practice. All my goal was just go straight and try and get the ball. That was it. That was my entire skill set. And I mean, it was fun. So it's funny because I was never actually good at the game, but I still loved the sport after the fact. And I played, that Christmas I got Madden 16 as a Christmas gift, and I started playing there. And it was just like, since then, that was when I started loving the sport, and that's when I started talking to you, Alex, more. Because before that, we would see each other at family party. So if we didn't say this is my cousin, all right, we're cousins, and we would see each other in family parties, and I'd just be like, oh yeah, cool person, people, and then I was like, he knows football, I'll talk to him. And then since then, we've talked to each other almost every day for the last 5 years since first playing Madden and Madden 16. That's been very interesting to see the growth of that.
Yeah, I my first Madden, where I actually played religiously, was Madden 15. And I remember playing so much that I wanted to get more people to play with. I know he'd love to play the game, it just had to be. So I bothered him a lot. And after that, it kind of just, it just kind of took off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think going off of that, do you have anything else to add on that?
Not really. You kind of took me under your wing to learn Madden, learn the mechanics, and really get me to know football more than I really did, and watching film of me being very slow and fat, doing gases every week.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I mean, I think it kind of leads into our next real big point is our favorite football memory, right? And it could be you playing football NFL or actually, you know, watching the NFL.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I think for me, my football memory. I think my favorite football memory would have to be the year what year was that? Maybe 2016, 2017. For my birthday, my mom took me to Chicago. Flew me from Chicago with her to New York to watch the Giants and Bears play like in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, and that was such a cool experience. I got to see, obviously like Eli Manning and Odell and them like from afar, but I got to like see them in person. I think we ended up leaving maybe middle of third quarter because we had to like catch a flight back to Chicago because it was a one day event. But like, I don't think anything could top the fact that like we went to New York, we went to East Rutherford, New Jersey. We were across the bay from New York, but we essentially were in New York.
Yeah.
We and it was just like the most fun day ever. It was so fun. We got to like talk to a bunch of these other like random New Yorkers that like were like talking crap to my mom because she was wearing a Bears blanket at the game, and it was just like the funnest thing ever. And I think the Giants ended up winning that game, but yeah, that started a good little. Considering they've played like almost every year since that year, they've been slowly becoming like a good rivalry team because they played every year since like for the last like 5 years, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah. I remember that day. Like, I was getting ready for the game because obviously it's a Bears game, so I'm gonna watch. And I was like, "Hey, you gonna watch this game?" And he's like, "Yo, I'm on a plane, dude. Like, I'm heading to the game." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just like I remember you loving it. Yeah. And speaking about like, I guess if you have any more to add on that.
I don't think so now, but yeah, you go.
So yeah, actually, my own favorite experience is actually a birthday game, right? So my mom surprised me with tickets to the Bears versus Buccaneers game in 2018. And if nobody remembers what happened in that game, I will tell you right now. Mitchell Trubisky threw for 6 touchdowns.
That game. You were at that game?
Defense. 48 points to 10. I don't care what anyone says about Mitch Trubisky. And, like, obviously, seeing free agency now, like, you see how it turned out. That was the best performance by any Chicago Bears quarterback.
You watched the career game of any Bears franchise quarterback.
That was absolutely amazing. And as, just being there for my birthday, I was actually so lucky. Like, I don't even think I went to any other games that year. But, to go to that one and them just completely blow out the Buccaneers, that was extraordinary.
Oh man, I think if I were to talk about another memory though, I think we'd have a good shared memory of the Bears-Browns preseason game. So, because what had happened was I was getting ready for the game because of good, it's their cheap tickets as Bears and Browns in like 2019, 2018, and like so it's like no one really cared for those teams at all, especially the Browns. So it was like pretty good cheap tickets, and we got tickets in Soldier Field for like the bottom, like the front almost row, like the first deck of seats. And it was funny because my mom was like, "Hey, I think Alex and Andy, your brother, my other cousin, are going to the game. So you should text them because we can get them down there with us." And so I texted you being like, "Hey, you gonna go to this game?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, we're going too. We'll pick you up." And you're just like, "Excuse me?" And so then we pick you up. The funniest part about this also is you get in the car. You're like, "Hey, where's your brother Mike?" And I'm like, "What you mean?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean? He's the one who texted me." He's like, "No, I texted you." And I was just like, Why do you have my number saved as my Mikey? And I was just like, that was a fun thing. But that offseason was the year that Victor Cruz got released by the Giants, and then he signed a preseason contract with the Bears. So we were there. We go to the game. We explore a little bit of Soldier Field. We get to the game, and we see our seats are like maybe like 10 rows up. But we see the very front row, no one's been sitting down for like half an hour. So we just look at each other, and we just start slowly making our way down to the front row, like the frontmost seats of Soldier Field. And we're just sitting there waiting pre-game of the preseason game. And we're just sitting there, creeping, make sure, if people are walking down, to make sure they don't claim the seats or whatnot. And we're just sitting there, and then, finally it's time for the teams to come out, start warming up and stuff. And lo and behold, number 80 comes out the locker room. He comes down to the field, and he comes to our corner of the field, because we're in the corner. He comes to our corner of the field. He kneels down. He starts praying. Does his football pre-workout, pre-game, whatever thing, and it's just us three just going nuts, being like, hey, dude, because I'm wearing his Giants jersey in a Bears Brown. I'm wearing a Giants jersey in a Bears Browns preseason game. It was so random, but it was just like, you come here, look at this place, acknowledge us. We're just like freaking out because he's like a good 30 feet away, whatever. So that was great. And then as the game goes on, he is playing whatever, and then he catches the ball on the sideline, gets hit by some Browns, some linebacker or DB, and he just lays there. He doesn't get up. And he just is laying there, and I was just like, oh no. And the funniest thing happens next. This random big dude behind me slaps me in the back as like, well, there goes your boy. Because you can see that I'm wearing the Cruise jersey. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
He was just like, well, there goes your boy. I'm like, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And he gets off the field. I think, whatever. He doesn't play another series the rest of the game. I think he gets released like the next day.
Yeah.
And then he retires like a few months later. So it's fun to say that like I, as a Victor Cruz fan, like the reason I got into football, got to see his last snap in the NFL, which was just wild to say, because not many people can say that about their favorite player. Like even though it's a preseason game, it's still a game. It's still something he got hurt, so it's not like it was just like a simple game. Like I got to see his final snap, and it was just like very, very cool to me to get to see that.
I honestly, that game was a lot of fun. I remember us texting the day before, and we mentioned nothing about going to the game. And I was getting the morning of the game, I was getting ready for it, and I was like, okay, well, how the hell am I gonna get there?
Oh yeah.
My parents couldn't take me, and at the time, like Bears games, you don't want to just drive in. You'd have to take an Uber, which would be very expensive. But all of a sudden, I get a call from my cousin Mikey, right? And he's like, hey, or no, I get a text from my cousin Mikey telling me like, hey, you guys coming to the game? So I'm like, yeah, like, dude, that'd be great. You got a car full, that's awesome. And I, like Archie was saying earlier, I went to the car and I was like, where's Mikey? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, my phone just said Mikey was texting me. But whatever, we made it to the game, and yeah, it was amazing. I was actually really surprised that he came to the one corner that we were just sitting at.
That was so
and
wild.
I was like, that is absolutely amazing, and we took a ton of pictures.
Yeah, we have one great photo that maybe I can pull it up on screen if I can. But like, yeah, it was so good. It was so much fun. And I remember, super random, but I remember after the game was the Giants and Patriots preseason game, and I remember we were like invested in that game for some reason. And we were like, we enjoyed preseason way too much. Preseason is not good, but we enjoyed it because that's when we know our teams could have a winning record for once.
Yeah, that's true. And when they lose, you're just like, it's preseason.
Yeah, it's preseason, yeah. So it's a win-win. It's like either they win and we get to say they won, or it's preseason and they lost. It's like, whatever, preseason.
Yeah. So, okay, I do want to ask, right? right? Since this isn't just a channel about NFL football, it's also about NFL Madden, right? I'd like to ask you, right, what was your favorite Madden to play?
Favorite Madden to play was either Madden 17, because that was when you, my friend Grant, who became both our friends from playing Madden as well, and I were on a call together, just just sitting there talking randomly, and it was the night. I think it was Christmas night, and we're just sitting there talking, like Christmas Day night, and we're just sitting there talking at like midnight, and then I just leave a solo challenge of Madden, and I just like says, "You've received a Favre token," and I'm like, "A Favre token? You mean Brett Favre, the Green Bay Packer?" Because the funniest thing, a good like hour or two before that happened, all three of us discussing was like, it'd be cool if they brought back Brett Favre to the game. I don't know why. They should bring him to the game. I don't know why they wouldn't. He's a good player. It'd be fun to do it on Christmas. And then an hour later, it's like, oh, he's in the game now, and we're just, what? And so we just go nuts trying to figure out information, just like logging into the solo challenges and trying to play them and trying to get them done. I remember Grant was like the first one to get them done, to get that 94 Favre, because his favorite player is Brett Favre, and he was going nuts over having that Favre. I don't think he used another quarterback the rest of the year until Favre got like Ultimate Legend. Like, he didn't use a different quarterback. He was just Favre the entire year.
Yeah,
and
he was on that.
That year, or either Madden 18, which is the first year they introduced MUT squads, so that me, you, and Greg could all play together. And we played that mode so much. I'd say we dominated that mode. Like, we were pretty decent. Like, we were pretty decent. And like, I played a lot of defense. You played a lot of offense. Grant was the head coach. I was user. I am the user king. Out of all three of us, I have the best users, I'd say. A little boast to myself. Playing all that random franchise with changing the slider so I win 50-0 every game. But on Madden 18 was dope because like that year, that was the year Tom Brady was the cover, and it was just so. That year had so many fun cards, so many fun giants to play with. I think that was the year, Saquon got drafted, so I got that Saquon rookie card. That card was insane, and it was a lot of fun. I think that was also the year they had like the best, balance mechanics. I mean, in terms of like, maybe they weren't balanced, but it's like it seemed like the most okay as much as it could be. Yeah.
I think the reason you think that is because of my favorite Madden, which was Madden 16, where they completely broke the game, and the only thing good on offense was a streak and you spamming triangle.
Oh, the aggressive catch.
Yeah, the aggressive catch. That segues perfectly into mine. Madden 16 was my favorite Madden. I think after playing Madden 15 and previously Madden 13, it all just felt one-dimensional. Every player kind of felt the same. And of course, there were route runners and there were bigger guys, but they really didn't mean that much. There really wasn't much of a difference between them, especially when they got higher and higher in overall. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things that was brought into Madden 16 was the ability to possession catch, rack catch, and dare I say it, aggressive catch. The aggressive catch was absolutely disgusting. I mean, I had Julian Edelman mossing my 6'3" safety Calvin. It was just ridiculous. The aggressive catch was overpowered, but it was just a ton of fun. And I think my two favorite cards during that time was a 94 overall Jay Cutler and a 94 overall Matt Forte. Obviously, being a Bears fan, I'm a little biased, and those are my cards. But my favorite thing about Jay Cutler was that he always had the highest throw power in the game, but none of the accuracy. And in Madden 16, that didn't matter. As long as you could throw it deep, you're good. Because you just spam triangle. And I loved Matt Forte because he was just dual threat. Like he was an amazing receiving back. He was an amazing, I mean, obviously just pure runner. I also really loved matching him up against linebackers. And that year I used to use a wheel route all of the time. I can't remember what formation. But whenever you use Matt Forte out of a wheel route, he'll get matched up with a linebacker, and he's a 6'2" running back that has like the best receiving back catching stats. So he's gonna beat him. And I used to love that. I used to use that all the time. But yeah, so what was since I already talked about my favorite players, what were your favorite players
to use in Madden?
Yeah.
Ooh. So the first one I can think of was the first one I can think of is in Madden 17, towards the end of the year. It's like summertime, things are winding down, and we're getting ready to find out who the next cover art player is for Madden 18. And one morning it pops out as like, hey, the next Madden cover artist is going to be Tom Brady. And as a special deal, we're gonna, in Madden 17, if you finish these challenges, we'll give you a free 99 Tom Brady. And so that day, I came down with a cold that day, so I didn't go to school, and I.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom, if you're watching this.
I'm gonna let you keep talking because I got something to say about that.
So yeah, I didn't go to school. I wasn't feeling good, but I felt good enough to play Madden. And within like an hour or two of the card releasing, I had the card. I had the card in my possession, and I send Alex a photo of it, like, hey, I got Tom Brady. And your response was...
How? I was like, how'd you do that, dude? And this guy's like, oh, well, I'm sick. I'm sick. Achoo. I'm sick. And I'm sitting here in like math class, I'm like, what? And I can't believe you did that. I was like, man, I gotta be sick now. Yo, tomorrow I'm sick.
Yeah. So that was. I think that's the only time I've done that, but it was definitely a worth time to do it. Cause, man, that card was, dude. Grant. Okay, so Grant, our friend Grant, despises Tom Brady with a burning passion. And when I sent him that photo, he almost like disowned me as a friend because he was like, "Nope, you're not playing with me with that card." And that card was so broke. I think, well, maybe we can get into this a little bit after this, but yeah, that card was broken. It was really good, but also I think the year that I had him was a very broken year in terms of random things happening in the game. Because there's one memory I remember when it was the last game I ever played with Grant 1-on-1 together, and we were playing 1-on-1s on Madden Ultimate Team, so we had our custom teams, and I'm playing the linebacker. He throws it up, and the ball bounces 5,000 feet in the air, flies backwards, lands in my D tackle's hands, and I run it in for a touchdown. And then Grant closes the game. Doesn't play anymore. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. I have not played online with Grant since because he refuses to play with me because of that. And that happened so many times for me that it was hilarious. That like I got all the breaks no matter what. It was great. The game realized how bad I was and just gave me the ball.
Yeah, that's like, that's not okay, man. If that happened to me, I'd probably stop playing Madden. Yeah, I remember after that, like you guys told me what happened, and I was like, I felt so bad. I felt so bad for Grant. I was like, ah. And you caught it on video too. Like I think you saved it and you sent it to me. And I was like, ah, that hurts. That really hurts. But yeah, I yeah, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's one card I can think of. That middle linebacker, I think it was Ultimate Ticket at the time instead of Golden Ticket. Ultimate Ticket Rob Gronkowski was so good too. I had that. I had 99 Urlacher and 99 Gronk, and that card was so good. And then actually, like I think last year's or the year before is 93 Urlacher for a little bit, the legend card. Bro, no one could use that card but me. I was getting these, bro. Remember we played that one squads game, and we're both because so the quarterback's scrambling right, and we're both running because we're both linebackers, and so we're both running, and then without talking, we didn't say a word. I kept using, you went down the sack of the quarterback, and we perfectly like split off. Like we didn't even have to communicate with that. We just went, and he threw it up. He threw a pick. I think it was like the first pick of the game, one of the picks of the game, and then another point, he's rolling left to the left corner of the end zone, and I am running with Urlacher just, and I just barely get enough reach, and I got a pick, and like that was also the pick to seal the game. It was like, how did you get there with like an 84 speed Urlacher? And I was like, I don't know. I was just so ready to. User linebackers are some of my favorite. Even though they're really bad in this game, they're some of my favorite cards to use.
Yeah, I think like, I guess talking about like using in general, I think you definitely. I remember we used to use the D lineman like at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I remember like I switched over to using linebacker, and you were still on the D lineman, and then all of a sudden, like you played a whole bunch of franchise and you started just locking in linebacker, and you just used it 10 times better than I did. And I was like, wow, what the hell? Like how did this happen? Just overnight, like you just got much better. And yeah, so I remember that. I also remember like sometimes you just have those weird moments where you just click, you know? And yeah, like there'd be times where we easily switch off coverage. And, like we don't even have to talk. It just happens. And obviously I think it's just the amount of times we played squads that year.
This is a testament to our like, you know, how much we've talked, how much we know each other, the way we like work in the game, that we can just be like, yeah, switch off and just do it like instantly. We definitely need to get back on that because I know, bro, especially when they dropped duos. Oh, when duos came out, it was just us that we didn't have to find. Okay, no. So talking about squads, so it was just us two for like Grant. You know, was like more playing like, you know, more PC games, more different games. Like he was playing Final Fantasy a lot and stuff. And so it was just us two. So we kept having to find random thirds, and we can never find them. And then we would always get these really, really bad players with amazing teams, and then they would quit. And then we'd do the last two, be a 2v3, and we would dominate because we would just know each other, and it was like so much easier to work with just one other person than it was with someone else that you don't know how to talk to and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we would just like we would end up starting to hope that we'd get into a third and the guy would just quit. Like we'd be like, just quit, dog. Like let us take over.
We literally just got to the point where we're just talking between each other, like, dude, I just hope this guy quits. I hope this guy quits, man. Like I just need to take over on offense, and you know, you're locking down defense. Like this guy's just been picking, you know, throwing picks left and right, you know. And yeah, I think like once they finally came out with duos, that was amazing. We finally were able to like, you know, not have to just randomly search for a third. So that was amazing, man. I think I definitely enjoyed that. We definitely have to get back on that because I enjoyed that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we will.
But yeah, I mean, I think also, you know, in general, we want to be talking about things going on currently, right? And the big thing going on now is free agency. You know, we're just before the draft, and everybody's running around, especially the Chicago Bears, like, who's going to be our quarterback? And it's definitely a hectic time. I don't know if you want to take it off and then start bringing up some ideas.
Via PFF on the website, they've ranked some of the top 10 top free agents coming out. So number 1 we got Dak Prescott. Number 2 we got Chris Godwin. Number 3 we got Allen Robinson. Number 4 we got Kenny Galladay. 5 Trent Williams. 6 safety Justin Simmons from the Broncos. 7 Anthony Harris from the Vikings, safety as well. Linebacker Levante David from the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. Number 9 we got guard Brandon Sheriff from Saints. Brandon Sheriff sounds about right. No, Washington. I don't know. One of those teams. And number 10 is tight end Hunter Henry. So, which one of those guys do you think is the most interesting person to look at, right now?
Ooh, I'm a little biased. I love Allen Robinson, and so I always think he's interesting. So I think that one is definitely going to be, for me, one of the most important ones. Hopefully the Bears can figure that one out and get him back in. But I don't know. I think really Dak Prescott is number 1.
Apparently, yeah. This might have not been updated with JJ Watt, because he would be in the top 10 if he was on this list.
Yeah, but I think obviously there's JJ Watt. There's a Watson situation, right? Is Watson listed on that? I can't.
He's not listed here as a free agent. This is just actual free agents, but he's actually, him as a trade, candidate is still very high.
Right. Yeah. So okay, they're not adding potential trade candidates.
No, yeah, it's just straight up legit free agents. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think out of people on the list, man, I think Allen Robinson, just because he's so young, and he's already at the top of his. I feel like he can do even more. I mean, he's been doing so many great things with not so great quarterbacks. I gotta be truthful. Trubisky wasn't the best, nor was Foles, right? And he had Bortles before.
Yeah, Bortles.
He's putting up 1,000-yard seasons. He's I would say probably reaching top 5 wide receiver, right?
Is he in the same level as Hopkins? Because Hopkins was in a very similar situation, but always produced. Would you make those two? Because they're also pretty comparable in their skill sets, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think so yet, because especially this year, Robinson didn't come down. I mean, he came down with a lot of good catches, but there were a good amount of catches in the end zone that were jump balls, and he didn't win those. Hopkins wins those. I really love Allen Robinson. I think he was the offense of the Chicago Bears this year. Him and Montgomery were the only ones putting in work, and I really do think that, first of all, I would love Robinson to be re-signed, or franchise tag. That's not ideal for him, but as a Bears fan, we would love to have him here, especially if we're trying to get a rookie quarterback in, or if we're trying to, even if we're trying to bring in another quarterback, they need to have a good target, right? So Allen Robinson is just a big part of the Bears right now. He's the offense, passing offense. getting rid of him is going to be it's gonna ruin it. So, you know, I think like going back to your question before, I think he is the most interesting one out of all of these. But that's from a Bears, fan perspective. I don't know. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about on Allen Robinson?
I mean, the Giants would be a very, good landing spot. I believe he would have the best quarterback he's had in his career with Daniel Dimes. I
don't know, man. I don't know.
I think pairing him up with our Darius Slayton and what's his face Shepard would be very good for his career. Bring him into a better market, of New York instead of Chicago. I'm just kidding. now I'm just bad talking Chicago, but I do just want to see him go somewhere good. I don't know. Wide receivers, I don't understand. Like, I understand the value. Like, I don't mean that, but I mean, like, in terms of like where they go and like why they choose to go certain places. Like, I don't get that stuff. I'm not knowledgeable enough to like know, why would they. I mean, obviously, I guess the goal would be to have a good quarterback. I mean, if a team was smart, a team where Allen Robinson could go that maybe is talked about. I haven't really heard much about it. That would be a smart way to keep the other player on that team. Is the Texans. Is bring him in and just be like, Deshaun Watson, please don't go. We gave you a target. I know we traded away your other good target in DeAndre Hopkins, but we got we got great value DeAndre Hopkins in Allen Robinson, and that would be good for him. I don't know what other teams. I mean, the Dolphins would be fun. Give Tua a target. I think as you were talking about Robinson and like who he's getting the quarterback, I was actually thinking about Dak Prescott because this year he was having a great year before he got injured, and I don't know why, but the thought of just the thought of Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft working together to hear me out, because Jerry Jones should sign Dak Prescott. I don't want him to sign because I would like him not in the NFC East, like obviously. But I don't know why I just had this weird conspiracy theory of like Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft working together to get Dak Prescott on the Patriots. Can you, dude? Dak Prescott on the Patriots? They're back up and running. They're back up and running as a top, as a top team. It's. Yeah, that was a little random, brain fart I had because like Dak Prescott being, he is the quarterback of this. I mean, which is funny, right? Because like we say that, but it's like Deshaun Watson's being talked about a bunch, Russell Wilson's being talked about a bunch, but like no one's talking about Dak, and it's like Dak is still like he's no he's no Jay Cutler. He's actually good, I mean he.
Hey, you know what? I'll let that one pass.
He's no Eli Manning. He can run. He can actually throw. He doesn't look dumb on the sidelines. He actually still looks reasonable. Like Dak Prescott should be talked about. I know like last offseason, that was the only thing anyone talked about was Dak Prescott's contract, and it got a little overblown by media and whatnot. But it's like that was the story. That was the story of the offseason. And this year it's like. He's still the story of the offseason, but now it's like, Deshaun Watson wants to go. Russell Wilson might want to go. J.J. Watt got released, and now he's picking a new place. Like these other big names, but it's like, don't forget Dak Prescott. He's still, he's still goatly. He's still good.
Yeah, I honestly think Dak Prescott's, I don't think he's gonna leave the Cowboys. They're gonna figure something out there. I mean, it's gonna cost a lot to bring him back this year. I think it's like, I can't remember. I think it's like $37 million to bring it back this year or for next year on a franchise tag.
Yeah, it would be about $37.7 mil for another.
Yeah, and I think if they franchise tag this year, yeah, that's gonna be a lot. I mean, Rodgers makes what, like 34 a year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember where. I think I saw something on that.
Yeah, like the median for NFL quarterback contracts is like 25. Like Tom Brady's around that number. Philip Rivers is like 26 or something. So like, 30, like 30. Yeah, like those numbers make like bring about like up to like the 40 or like 35 to 40 for a top tier quarterback is about the market value right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think one thing is Dak Prescott's definitely being overlooked right now.
Mm-hmm.
In comparison to Russell Wilson and Watson, just because of, I guess, body of work, kind of, and Dak Prescott's injured right now, or he just got injured this past season,
Mm-hmm.
So there's still some question marks there. Obviously, people are going to expect him to come back, doing very well, but I guess those question marks kind of, also a lot of people just expect the Cowboys to bring him back in, and so that's why not too many people are talking about it. But I mean, Cowboys can definitely surprise us, and throw a trade or something. But honestly, I don't think Dak is going anywhere. They'll figure something out over there. And also, he's already got he's got some great tools there. I mean, you got Amari Cooper, who was just a few years ago, not even 2 years ago, he was great this season too, or at the beginning of the season before Dak, got injured. Even last season, did very well. He's always been doing great. He's kind of like one of those, I guess, more Allen, like reminds me a lot of Allen Robinson. They do very well, and they're going to produce, and they're going to get open. They're great wide receivers. So yeah, I think Dak's gonna stay where he is. That's why everybody's excited about Russell. Everybody's excited about Russ. Everybody's excited about Watson, because these are I feel actually like people are like, oh, there actually could be something going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's more likely. Man, actually, no, I wouldn't say that. Cowboys can definitely surprise us. But
it's funny thing is like Jerry Jones loves giving out his money, but also loves just kicking people to the curb. Remember when they broke DeMarco Murray? Like they used him so much, and then like, all right, goodbye. I was like, Jesus. I was like, bro, that was, which is speaking of the running backs of the Cowboys is like talk about other targets. Like you still got Zeke, which like Zeke. I mean, as a Giants fan, I'm a little biased to like saying that he's worse than Saquon, but it's like at the same time, it's like he is like from actually watching him, from what other people have said, like actual professional analysis and things, like he is kind of slowing down. Not that he's getting old; he's still young, but it's like it's like those first few years where like no one knew how to stop him, but now people are like know what to do. The Cowboys' offensive line isn't the Cowboy offensive line of old. Like it's Frederick's gone. That was like the key anchor of that offense, and it's like things like that. Right? Yeah, I think he had some sort of illness, and then he like retired because of like him having the illness. He's like, I can't do this anymore. But yeah, something. I think I'm pretty sure it was with an illness. Quote, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong now. But I'm pretty sure it was because of an illness. But yeah, it's like the Cowboys. Cowboys are interesting. They are becoming. They need to sign Dak Prescott. Like they have to. As a Giants fan, I'd very much like them not to, because that would just help us a lot. We were, as a Giants, being a game away from the playoffs after Doug Peterson decided to bench all his players in the Cowboys Washington game. No, in the Eagles Washington game, which was very upsetting. Even though that happened, I'd like to say, even though I am a Giants fan, I'm very much a Giants fan. I have to quote unquote hate the other teams in my division. I think letting Doug Peterson go was the wrong move. But I know he obviously he lost out. I know from people reports he lost the locker room, whatever. But it's it wasn't that long ago. He just won the Super Bowl. It's he won a Super Bowl in the second year, and so it's it's not there wasn't an insane amount of roster turnover since then. There was a lot of injuries, and this year was the COVID year, so it's like it's not like I think they should have kept him. I think he's a good coach. I know he's gonna land somewhere and it's gonna be good. But that was a crazy situation that happened. I don't know, but yeah, Dak Prescott is he's good. He's good. He's a very good player, and he should get paid. And I hope to face him next year for 2 times. I hope to see him on the field again.
Yeah, I think kind of just to, I guess, wrap up, free agency talk and just, I guess, our own talk about our own teams, What is one player you'd love to see come to the Giants?
Like out of all players, or like free agents, or like possibility things.
Free agents, or possible trade players.
So the Giants, their biggest need is offensive line, but I would really like to see a receiving target that Daniel Jones can, because like we have Darius Slayton, who's good. He is good. He's not a number one, but he's good. We have Sterling Shepard, also very good, not a number one. We need like that one big body target. So, I would love an Allen Robinson, or I'd love a Chris Godwin, who's another free agent, who's like a little bit more of like a speedster number one, rather than he still has good hands. He only dropped 4. Yeah, it's right here on PFF, dropping just 4 passes in his first 3 seasons, which is insane to think about. Having Jameis Winston throwing you the ball most of those first few years. But I would very much love to see like Godwin, Kenny Golladay from the Lions, get him in here. I really want a receiver, one real good receiver, because we haven't had that since Odell. And even when we had Odell, we had Eli throwing the ball, so it wasn't like, there wasn't the greatest combination of thing. I think for Daniel Jones to grow, he's going to need a stable target to throw to, at least someone, and then they can work on everything else. Hopefully when Saquon comes back, he will be another one of those stable targets that we can use to get him in there, because Saquon's still a beast, receiving and running, so he's just a monster. So it's like we need all cylinders firing if we're gonna do anything this next couple of years. And I actually, what's one player you want back besides Allen Robinson? What would you want your team to bring in?
I'm trying to think. I think my biggest concern is the offensive line. And honestly, you already know that I'd love Allen Robinson to come back, because that would definitely help the passing offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd definitely help out a quarterback, anyone that's going to be there, even if it is Nick Foles. But the offensive line was not great last year. I think we have a lot of great people that can step up, right? James Daniels got a little injured. Hopefully he'll be back and probably play. He can probably play guard. I know that Cody Whitehair's he's solid. I love him either at guard or at center. He was doing amazing either way. Alex Bars and Sam Mustipher, they were for backups, not even backups, third strings. They walked in there with a presence. They walked in there and they were angry, and they played that way. And I loved it. I think we lost a lot of production, right? A lot of our plays failed because of the tackles, right? Bobby Massey, he's great. I'm sure he's a great guy, but he's got to go. And even if we don't get rid of him, the one guy we really need to get rid of is our left tackle, Charles Leno. I can't remember who said it, but I know he's remarked as this perfectly average left tackle. And every once in a while he'll do great, but when he's bad, he is bad, and people walk past him so easily. I mean, it's like he's not even blocking.
They walk past them. Yeah.
They walk past him. I mean, it's really bad. On run plays, he doesn't know where he's going. Like, he'll just let people go past him. I mean, I don't understand how many times, like, I've just been, you don't understand how many times I've been so angry just looking at him. Like, sometimes I'll just look at him during the play and see what he does, and sometimes it's good. It's like, okay, you did pretty well, good job, and sometimes you just get blown up, like he's just laying on the floor or like completely confused as to what's going on. And I think offensive line play was terrible towards the end, and that was just because of injuries, but left tackle was good all year. He was not injured all year, and it was bad. Like it just wasn't good line play. And I guess looking at that position, Orlando Brown Jr. has brought up that he is not happy moving to a different offensive line within the Ravens system, like a different offensive line position. And he said that I am a left tackle, and I'm not moving from there. Hey, the Bears need a left tackle. The Bears need a left tackle. This man, he only let up like, let's see, PFF says that he let up 3 sacks last year. I'll take that. I'll take that. I mean, Bears, we're friends. That's the man you need to get, right? Like, I think, of course, you can try attacking these positions: left tackle, right tackle, maybe a backup guard in the draft, But if you can solidify, like, Orlando Brown's amazing. If you can solidify him as one of your tackles, right, and then probably draft another tackle in first round or two, then you're protecting the quarterback, because last season was not that, and it showed. When the run wasn't there was no passing, and we went 3 and out. It was bad. I mean, there were times where we would get to the red zone and go 3 and out because our tackles, our offensive line were just not there. They weren't even present. So offensive line definitely needs to be an upgrade, definitely needs to be a place where they focus on in free agency and in the draft. And I think Orlando Brown is available, and the Bears need to be talking to the Ravens on that one. So yeah, I think, with that being said, I think we can wrap it up. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We're very happy to begin this podcast. We've been wanting to do it for a while. And we hope you enjoy. Please let us know if there's anything you want to talk about or want us to bring up in another podcast, or if there's anything you want us to answer.
Yep. I'll have in the description of the YouTube video, I'll have our Twitter that I made, and then I'll have our link to our website where you can see these episodes there, and maybe we'll post things there. Hope to see this community grow, and looking forward to the future. Have a good day, y'all.